past the mansion-turned sought-after resort, to the sunlight glittering off the inky water, the waves kissing the shores of Sunset Beach, and her worries fell away. Boats were tethered to the marina, and more were anchored in the harbor like rebellious teenagers refusing to come home. While she'd eventually left the island to start her life, growing up here, she'd always felt like a marina boat, following the rules and making the best of it, sticking around the island long after Deirdre had gotten scholarships and left to make her mark on the world. Feeling the pull of the bistro, she pushed herself to run the few extra blocks to take a quick peek before heading back to her mother's house. Unlike the Silver House, the bistro, a renovated boathouse, was built on the flat terrain of the sandy beach. The back faced the parking lot, and the front overlooked the water. Abby's breath caught at the sight of the bistro sign, perched tall and proud on steel legs attached to the double-peaked roof. The sign had been there since her father had first opened the restaurant several years before she was born. Surrounded by the sense of the sea and memories of her parents' laughter, which had once seemed ever-present, she made her way to the side patio, taking in the shuttered windows and the closed-for-the-season sign hanging on the weather-beaten siding. She could still recall images of her father with perfect clarity, his long white hair tied back in a ponytail, his matching beard unkempt, and his gray-blue eyes dancing with happiness as he wandered through the restaurant, joining guests at their tables for brief chats. Memories of her mother always took her back to her youth, when Abby de Messiéres' sandy hair was shiny and beautiful, and a gap-toothed smile was always at the ready. Her eyes shifted to the beach in front of the restaurant, where she and Deirdre used to play. The rickety, weathered gray fence that had once held colorful lanterns had been consumed by bearberry bushes as untamed as her hair. Memories of better days floated around her as she stepped off the side of the patio and onto the sand. Even in her sneakers, she loved the feel of sinking into the sand. She rounded the front of the building and was surprised to see a man sitting at a table reading a newspaper in the shade of the covered patio. It reminded her of her father, who used to read every page while he drank his coffee in the morning. But who reads actual newspapers anymore? And where did you get that table and chair? A travel mug from the sweet barista, her friend Kira Silver's coffee house around the corner, sat on the table beside a book and a delicious-looking croissant. He'd made himself right at home, in his crisp, short-sleeved button-down shirt, which revealed enticingly defined, but not overly muscled, arms, khaki pants, and loafers. Loafers? On the beach? A gold watch clung to his wrist, another anomaly. His toffee-brown hair was brushed back, giving her an extraordinary view of his clean-shaven, handsome face as she stepped closer. His chiseled jawline and aquiline nose were a little too familiar, though she couldn't place where she'd seen him. He looked a lot like a distinguished David Beckham. Yum. But he wasn't tattooed. Was that why he looked familiar? He lowered the newspaper, his serious dark eyes finding hers as he said, "Good morning." His rich voice gave her goosebumps. His lips quirked up in amusement, and she realized she was standing on the beach right in front of him, hands planted on her hips, blatantly staring. "Hi. She chided herself for sounding flustered and a little embarrassed, and threw her shoulders back as she said, "You know this is private property, right?" "Yes, I'm aware," he said, setting the newspaper on the table as if he had all the time in the world. "Do you always make yourself at home on other people's property?" He arched a brow. "How do you know I don't own this place?" She was amused by his attempt to seem important. "I'm pretty sure you don't." "Are you? Well then, you're probably right." He leaned forward and crooked his finger, motioning for her to come closer. It had been so long since a man had caught her attention, much less since she'd been beckoned by a hot guy, and her pulse quickened like a schoolgirl's. Only she was a grown woman,